Hi, I'm Lisette, and this is Book Date. Today we are talking with Jamie Bradley, the author of 3,000 Reasons to Stay, which I got to tell you, I love that title. Truly love that title. I'm the worst at writing titles for my book, but I love that. I would pick that book up just because of that title.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about her reading habits and how that influences what she writes. So we're going to run through the same questions that I ask on Build a Book Boyfriend and see how her answers shake out. So, Jamie, what is your favorite book?
I This is not a good question. It's a very difficult question. And so I really
It's,
had to restrain myself because
it's like
do you say
I
the
only
book
get one.
that the read yeah, yeah. And I mean, how long have I been reading? So do I say the book that I read, 15 years in a row every fall, that Nora Roberts series that's sort of witchy? No, or like so I decided to go with a book that I read most recently that I immediately wanted to reread
Okay.
because there's just so many good choices. And that was Tessa Bailey's Fangirl Down, which is a contemporary and a lot of
Okay. So,
fun, very
sports
sexy.
romance?
It is, and it's a
Okay.
golfer, which is not a sexy sport, but
No, God,
or
no.
cheat job. I mean, and this is where I'm like, this was oddly fantastic. It totally worked.
Yeah, no, sorry. You say golfer to me, and I think old men and ED commercials. That's
Yeah. I mean, I've watched my husband sometimes. I'm like, oh, this is not interesting at all.
well, the only saving grace with golf is if anything really good happens, they're going to play it again 45 times. So there's that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So interesting. Okay, and the title of that again was
That's Fangirl Down, Tessa Bailey. Yeah.
by Tessa Bailey. Okay, contemporary. You said.
It's contemporary, and Tessa's known for her wonderful banter and like great sex scenes and just fun. Um, their chemistry of the characters is fantastic, and I think that one of the things that she does well is that she makes it's a rom-com, but it's not too calm, you know.
Okay.
And there's a real thread of like of reality, but better, sexier, funnier and more romantic, and so yeah, again, if you can take a golfer and make him to a bad boy who's like seems like he'd be more fit in a motorcycle like mafia or one of those types of
Hmm.
romances, but he's a golfer. I'm like, okay, I like what you did here anyway. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was great pacing, so I enjoyed that one.
Okay. So the next question that I ask is why did you like, why is it your favorite? So you've just given me a bunch of answers. Was there
Yeah.
anything in particular that really I mean, the ability to make a golfer a bad boy, yeah, I mean, that's
Well, the heroine has diabetes in it, type
oh,
1, and that was
okay.
to use that as a way that it actually drew the characters closer together was super clever. I thought. Involved a lot of trust, and again, I think part of it. One of the things I would ask myself when I finish a book is, do I believe this couple would
Yeah.
actually stay together? Would actually make it into that epilogue that they write? And this one I totally did. I mean, sometimes you read them and you're like, it's just fun, but there's no way these two people are going to make it. Um, and this one was really there. Like they had enough of the real like challenges in the book, real conflict to like
Yeah.
prove
Yeah.
it was
They'd
going to
earned it.
happen.
They'd earned
Right.
it. Yeah. Yeah, no, I love those. I mean, that is you know, yeah, the heart and soul of what romance writing is. It's like because it's in everyday romance, it's everyday life. That's a whole lot harder to distill down to, its essence. Um, so the next question I ask readers is, what are your favorite tropes?
So I mean, there's a lot, right? I think any trope can be well done, but I'm definitely drawn to, and this was something that happened in this book, the he falls first situation, especially when you've got a
Mhm.
real hard shell, kind of a grumpy guy who's
Yep.
just becomes absolute mush for her right off. He hates the world, hates himself, but boy, he'll do anything for her. You know what I mean? Those kinds of, and then of course he has to have his arc. But I love that he falls first. I love the Grump and Sunshine is always fun whenever you have sort of opposites on the
Yep.
page. And I mean, I write some military romance and sports romance myself, so I like that's always love a veteran, always love a military aspect. Um, and then the fangirl down, I like to term it alpha role. You know, he's like again, it's that alpha like pushy, aggressive, but then totally squishy for her, and they'll do anything
Hmm.
for her or the heroine
Yep.
of the love interest. Yeah, sports romance. I love a reformed rake, you know, or one that refers for the heroine. And I love a work. I love it when you see them doing something for real, like that they're
Hmm.
working at, not just I'm a billionaire. Here, let's spend money. Like, and again, not that that can't be fun sometimes, but I really just I love seeing either character having a real challenging job, basically, or goal.
Yeah. I mean, it's so much of our lives are wrapped up in what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it always feels, I mean, even I have a Regency series, but yeah, even my Regency heroines, like, no, I can't sit around and do nothing all day. This is insane.
Right,
And they'll go
right.
find some,
It's a
yeah,
part of your
even if it's just
identity.
making mischief. you know?
Right, right. And that's the thing, like even in a historical where your job is to get married, like you can have they can have more than that in their character
Yeah.
and part of their identity. And I find that always more interesting when there's like a genuine goal and versus just like sort of drifting through the story in that
Yeah.
way.
Well, it makes your characters so much fuller and rounder and, you know, yeah, they come off the page then as opposed to,
Right.
okay, well, this is a nice, you know, I can play paper dolls with this. you know?
Right. And more relatable
um,
too.
right, exactly. Okay, so favorite genre is the last question that I ask readers. And you only get one.
So
You
yeah.
only get
So I mean
one genre right now.
my, my
Because it,
automatic response is contemporary. That is what I automatically fall into. If you're gonna walk through a bookstore, that's what I go for first, I guess, always. That's not the only thing I read, but that's the one that I
right.
gravitate
That's
to
where you
first.
start.
Yep.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Um, okay. This is for all the money now. No, this is because we are writers. So how does that sports, contemporary sports novel and those bad boy and diabetic heroine and those kinds of, those characters that have real flaws, but have things in their lives that they're struggling with. Um, all of those tropes that you outlined so beautifully. How does, and your contemporary genre, how does that influence your writing? How does that all pull together?
Well, I think that I have a background in science. What I really enjoy is pattern recognition, actually, oddly enough. And this is one of the reasons why contemporary is fun because it's modern. Like you don't have to like I don't have to learn what it was like to live in the Regency to write it.
Right.
I'm a little lazy that way. I'll admit. I so much
The
respect to all
research
the
is easier.
historical writers or
Yeah.
fantasy writers or anybody who's creating those like detailed worlds that someone might pick
Yeah.
you up on you for. And not that you can't get picked on for like, oh, I read a book recently where it took place in Vermont, which is my home state, which means that that I was critical of how they represented it because it was pretty clear they hadn't been there. But anyway, my point is pattern recognition, no matter which genre you're reading or I should subgenre of romance, there's going to be that same beats, right? And I
Mhm.
think one of the things that I enjoy about any contemporary, but also reading across the genre is how did this author execute what is basically the same storyline every time? Now it
Mhm.
might be different because of who the characters are, or how
Right.
many there are, or the setting, but the same conversations basically have to happen. You still have to come to the I love you. You still have to come to the happily ever after. And like, what are the conflicts they get? Not, what do they learn along the way? And I just like seeing how that's executed because it can inform like how my own characters do. I'm like, oh, that totally worked, or no, that didn't work. So
Yeah.
it's just it's learning and seeing those patterns. And I'm in two different romance book clubs, and it's fun because it forces me to read books I would never pick up on my
Right.
own. And because sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. Sometimes it's not for me, but other times I'm like, wow, this dystopian whatever I just totally pulled me through. And again, I'm not sure if I believe him at the end, mostly because that world is so depressing, but they
It's
worked at it. So anyway, I really enjoy just seeing how other people get it to work. When it works, and figuring out what I can say, like this. Oh, this is something that I need to work on. I love how they wrote this kiss in 6 pages, and it didn't feel like it was dragging. You know what I mean? You're like trying to learn from.
yeah, you there's, somebody can write a kiss that takes, 6 pages, and another person can write a kiss that takes 2 paragraphs, and you're like, "Okay, get to the point already." Um,
Exactly, and it's
yeah,
just completely different.
it's always, uh, because I've been writing for 15 years, had people ask me, well, why would you write romance? Why not write, I don't know, women's fiction or, whatever? And there's nothing wrong with those. That's perfectly, for some people, that's absolutely lovely. I'm like, but there's something I dearly love about knowing that there's a formula. I know exactly
Hmm.
what steps they need to hit in order to make the reader feel like they've gotten the payoff that they need, like their heart flutters, because there's nobody that picks up a romance and doesn't know how it's going to end. Like,
Right,
those two on the cover, they're getting together at the end of the book. That's just part and parcel of what a romance is. So how do you change it up? How do you surprise
right.
people? How do you Yeah,
Make it feel different, but still have that level of security that they're really
right.
looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Um so is there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to fill in? She's like, "No,
I mean,
please."
I love to read all kinds of things, and I'm always blown away when, again, like when I read a book that I would not, and even if maybe there's a theme that I'm not a big fan of in it, but when I'm still like cannot put it down, and try to dissect that, which you can't necessarily, but it's fun because every time I read a book, I get to try.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so funny to me. I mean, if you had told me 2 years ago that within the next 2 years I would have read, I don't know, close to 200 different alien romances, I'd be like, "You are out of your mind. I don't like alien like, why?
yeah.
It's just nothing." I took a sci-fi fantasy romance class, was like a 90-minute class kind of thing.
Hmm.
And suddenly it was like, "Oh no, this is fascinating." Like, fated mates, I love all of this. This is
Yeah.
so it's yeah. I so now I never say never. Like, if I was absolutely never ever ever going to write a shifter series. It was
Hmm.
just why. It was just too simple, I didn't like any of them. And it's like, okay, but if you're writing it, you can change anything you want. This is
Oh yeah. Well, because I don't my contemporary with my military heroes, it's not suspense, and I like to clarify that just because some people are looking for that suspense aspect. I'm
right.
like, no, I really just like a grump. Okay. And every veteran I know, including my husband, is a grump. Okay.
Grump. Oh, oh yeah, no. I mean, I one of my favorite trips is Grump Sunshine. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So love those. Um, and yeah, I mean, like I've never met a sunshiny guy. I mean, I joke that I am the black cat looking for the Labrador Retriever,
Yeah.
and I've never met him. I don't know what that looks like.
I know.
But yeah,
People talk about them in books, but I also don't really know any.
no, I don't either.
The cinnamon
Um,
roll, sort of. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, it's except that honestly, I kind of feel like if I met a cinnamon roll or a golden retriever guy in real life, I'd be like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, you're real sweet, but kind of boring. Yeah.
Okay. Now what?
Right?
We're not demanding,
I
when
know.
guys say
No one's
they don't
perfect.
understand it, what does that mean? Um, okay, this has been lovely. I wish we could hang out and chat forever. I'm actually in Maine. We could.
Right? Exactly.
um, yeah, this has been great, and I really appreciate you hanging out. Um, again, I've been talking with Jamie Bradley, and I hope that you will find her books through Build a Book Boyfriend. Sounds like she's got some great options out there. Yeah, the, thanks for stopping by.